In a distant past, Michael and Dalia Dippolito were a couple of newlyweds like any others. Living in Boynton Beach, South Florida, they had a whirlwind romance while Michael was married to another woman and got married 5 days after he signed his divorce papers. In the summer of 2009, they had been married for just under 6 months. On Wednesday, August 5th, they woke up and got on with their life as if it were just another day. Dalia was out of bed early, around 6 a.m. Then she headed to the gym and left Michael behind to work from home. She was only gone for a couple of hours, but by the time she came back to their residence, nothing would ever be the same again. Dalia slowly approached one of the officers, but she didn't have time to ask anything before he began telling her the awful story of what had transpired in the hours she had been absent.
Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am, he's been killed. He's been killed, man. I'm sorry.
She was escorted away by another officer, still sobbing. But what Dalia didn't know at the time is that the whole scene had been taped. She was about to become an infamous celebrity as the footage made national news and later appeared on the reality show Cops.
Viewer discretion is advised.
The whole thing had been set up to get her to agree to speak with the police. Why? Because she knew very well that Michael's life would be in danger that day. She had been the one to hire someone to kill him. She wanted it all: his house, his cards, and his cash. First, she searched for hitmen on the streets in Riviera Beach. Then, while out shopping with a friend, Mohammed Shihadeh, she pulled him aside and asked to be connected to a hitman. Reluctant to be part of the scheme, Mohammed Shihadeh decided to tip off Boynton Beach police about her intentions. The police decided to send in an undercover police officer acting as the unknown hitman. They fitted his car with hidden cameras to record his next conversation with Dalia. The recording shows Dalia agreeing to pay a hitman $7,000 to kill her husband, as well as a $1,200 deposit.
First thing first, 3,000, and then I do my thing.
How soon could you do it?
I could do it Wednesday morning at the house, because I was looking in the newspapers here. There's been a lot of burglaries in this area. All right, it's not uncommon for someone to break into a house. Even if you change your mind.
There's no changing, there's no, I'm determined already. I'm positive, 5,000% sure,
okay.
With me, you're not going to have a problem, you're not going to have an issue.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Bye.
I'm 5,000% sure I want him dead. That's when the Boynton Beach team knew they had enough evidence to go on and started putting a plan into motion. On August 5th, 2009, Boynton PD waited for her to leave the house and then set up an elaborate sting operation. They spoke to Michael and explained the situation to the incredulous man.
Police department, open your door.
Yes.
I'm Sergeant Sheridan of the Boynton Police Department.
Hi.
Can I talk to you?
Yes, for sure.
You need to come with me to the police station. You're not in trouble. Your wife has hired a person to kill you.
Police whisked him away to safety and cordoned off their home so it would look like a crime scene. Multiple cameras were set up to capture the whole thing. Once Dalia was in police custody, they asked her all the questions a loving wife would expect to answer under similar circumstances.
How long have you guys been married?
Not even a year.
Is there anybody you could think of that would want to do this to him?
People weren't happy that he was getting off probation because it's a lot of money he's got to pay back.
Well, when you say people, who are you talking about? People that were involved with him before, or?
A little bit of everything. This was supposed to be something, when he got off probation, it was supposed to be between us.
Michael's life of crime began long before he met Dalia. He had been arrested for possession and intent to distribute drugs in 1993 in Philadelphia and skipped town to avoid the hearing. A warrant for his arrest was still active a few years later when he got arrested in Boca Raton for offering an undercover Broward County Sheriff's deputy $15 for sex. He pleaded guilty and was released. Later on, Dippolito was introduced to the world of commodities fraud. In 2001, he set up a number of scam companies, the sole purpose of which was to cold call strangers in every state, persuade them to invest in foreign currency, and finally, keep the money. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission filed a federal lawsuit against Michael, and he was later arrested in 2002. He'd pled guilty to charges of organized fraud, grand theft, and unlicensed telemarketing and was sentenced to 2 years in state prison. He served only 7 months between 2003 and 2004 as he had had time served awaiting trial. He was forced to make monthly restitution payments to his victims and will still be on probation until 2032. In what some say was a sinister plan to appear indigent so he wouldn't have to pay back restitutions, he turned over large amounts of money to Dalia and signed the house deed in her name.
And he went and he told, friends of his, he told, certain people, and everyone kind of talks, and he's constantly running into a lot of the guys that he was on probation with. Like a couple days ago, we ran into someone, and that was a target. I mean, and the guy comes up to us, and he's like with organized crime. It seems like a lot of the guys from Boca are starting to move up here, and we're constantly running into, a lot of the guys that he knows and things like that.
Now, do you know any of these people, their names or anything like that, or where they may live, so that we may be able to follow it up? We're not going to implicate you.
The guys that left, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know them?
I don't know them.
You've never met them?
No, I mean, I know the guy that we ran into a couple days ago. I know certain names, you know what I mean, and I know certain families, they were on the news, like the guys that all just went away. I don't know if the one guy that I'm telling you about, Pasquale, if he also went away or if he did it. But this just happened like a month and a half ago. They all got arrested again, the same stock fraud stuff again.
She whimpered for the cameras and covered her eyes with her baseball cap to presumably hide the absence of tears. After a thorough questioning, all part of the ruse, Sergeant Paul Sheridall left the room in a huff. When he came back, he said, "The game's over with. Okay, there's no more games with you and I. I want to know if you know this guy." Detective Sheridan opened the door and a man pretending to wear handcuffs walked in. It was the undercover officer pretending to be the hitman.
You know who this guy is?
No.
You've never seen him before?
I've never seen him before. Ever.
Do you know her?
Put your head up and look at her.
Put your head up.
I've never seen him.
What were you doing coming out of her house? Get him out of here.
Only then was she let in on the big secret. Michael was still very much alive, and she was under arrest for solicitation to commit first-degree murder. Dalia was shocked. "I didn't do anything," she repeated over and over as she began to cry. She used her one phone call to speak to her husband, the very same person she had tried to kill, hoping he believed that she was innocent. The call was recorded, and the disbelief in Mike Dippolito's voice is palpable.
Hey, it's me.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing, Mike. Can you please come here?
Hey, listen, I don't want to fight with you. Honestly. I can't help you.
Mike,
Don't you understand what just happened?
what they're saying is not true.
How is that possible?
Like, I'm sitting here. It's not true. It's not possible. You wouldn't even give me 2 minutes to talk to you, but it's not possible. What they are saying is not true.
How in the hell did I hear it and see it?
Like, I heard what you heard. It's not true. I heard what you heard, and I saw what you saw. Everything they showed you, they showed me.
And how is it not? How are you telling me that?
I
It's not
am giving you my word that it's not true.
She begged for his help, denying that anything the police were alleging was true, and that she still loved him. But Michael told her over and over again that he couldn't help her, and she had to face the consequences of what she'd done. The Dippolito trial started in 2011. Video evidence was presented at every turn. Prosecutors showed jury recordings of the staged crime scene, footage from the interrogation room, and, of course, the secret footage from the hidden cameras in Mohammed's car. Dalia's defense attorney, Michael Salnick, claimed that she had been, quote, tricked into signing a waiver granting cops permission to air their footage of her on national TV.
If this jury hears this evidence, the prejudicial effect on Ms. Dippolito, she will be found guilty in 5 minutes if the jury hears it. There's no question about it. This is just a flat-out attempt to demonize her and characterize her as a killer, and there's already been evidence in this case.
At one point throughout the trial, Dalia demanded her husband be removed from the house she had convinced him to sign over to her. "I heard Mike is at the house," she told her mother. "I want him out of my house. That's my house. The title's in my name. When questions were raised about whether she could have been trying to kill him in an effort to get out of an abusive relationship, the initial informant's tip-off to the police was brought up once more.
When you initially contacted the Boynton Beach Police Department, why did you call?
I said that there's someone that wants to kill her husband or be dead, either one of them.
All right, and when you say be dead, can you explain that a little bit more?
I guess from what she explained to me, that she was going through domestic and tantrums with him and controlling, and she wanted him dead, or she wanted to be dead, one of them.
She claims he's violent, Mohammed had said, but from the people that I know that know him, I don't know him personally, but from the business he was in, say that he's a really nice guy. He said that before things went south. Dalia had described Michael as kind. He's the nicest, sweetest nerd, but she can't stand him.
And I said this before the case started. Manufacturing a crime is picking on a woman that didn't do anything, and you're just trying to get her to do something. That's not what we're arguing. We're already facing a mountain of facts that this woman had a motive to kill Mike Dippolito, and in fact, Mr. Williams did a nice job of getting into Larry.
The defense also argued that detectives never believed Dalia could have been a threat to her husband, but they only thought the case would make for fantastic television.
All right, we're in recess.
Dalia testified that she was planning to get a reality show out of the fake murder for hire plot, and that Michael and Mohammed were in on the plan. Mike Dippolito was a fan of shows like The Jersey Shore and Cheaters, Salnick argues, which led him to devise an extreme scheme, post the footage online, optimistic that they could get their own reality show out of it.
Ms. Dippolito, so where did you get your acting lessons?
I had done some acting for a talent company.
Who?
Somewhere in Fort Lauderdale.
What's the name of them?
Avenue Productions.
Avenue Production. And when was that?
That was, I don't know, a little after high school.
I'm sorry?
A little after high school.
All right, how old are you now?
33.
And what was that after high school?
A few years.
I know, what year?
Sometime after 2001, 2002.
Okay. After or around then?
Around then.
Okay.
It was a stunt that Michael Dippolito, whether he'll admit it or not, hoped to capture the attention of someone in reality TV, Salnick said. Michael Dippolito's hoax to achieve fame and fortune was a bad prank. According to the defense's argument, Dalia had every reason to believe her husband would make it clear everything was a hoax. Instead, she had got arrested for it, and he was letting her take the blame. Michael Dippolito and prosecutor Craig Williams denied this was ever the case and pushed forward to get Dalia convicted.
Well, what was your script? What were you supposed to do? Tell us what you were supposed to do and how this fit into your plan.
Mohammed was on an episode of Burn Notice, and we were trying to simulate the episode that he was on.
And what was the episode?
It was a murder for hire episode.
Okay, tell us about it.
It was somebody who had faked their murder for hire, and it wasn't. It was an actor who had faked it, and he was on the episode, and he gave us the idea on how to do it.
He gave us the idea on how to do it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and your husband's in, your ex-husband's in on this all along.
Yes.
The person who was acting as the hitman, wasn't that one of the actors?
No, it was someone Mohammed told me to meet.
But how was he fit into your acting plan?
Mohammed told me that I needed to go meet him.
Okay,
and that was when we were at Chili's, and that's where I didn't want to go meet him, and Mohammed forced me to go over there.
You don't hear you guys talking about it here on August 1st?
Right, but that wasn't at Chili's.
I understand that. This is 2 days before Chili's.
Right.
You're already talking about it.
Right.
You remember on this video that you gave Mohammed $1,200 in cash?
Object, Your Honor.
Oh. Do you remember you gave Mohammed $1,200 in cash?
For Mohammed.
For Mohammed.
Right.
Okay. And what did Mohammed tell you it was for?
For collaborating on this project with us. I mean, it's his time, and...
What did you tell him? What did he tell you it was for on the video?
We'd have to go back and look at the video to see what I said.
He didn't tell you it was for the hitman to buy a gun?
We said a lot of things on the video,
let's
and okay. Extra for myself.
Why do you need to give Mr. Shahadi a picture of Mike Dippolito if he knows who Mike Dippolito is and he's working with him?
Because he was taping this, and so we needed to capture it for the tape.
Okay, then how come you can't see any of it?
I wasn't the one taping it. I don't know.
So you didn't get together with him and talk about where's the camera, where am I supposed to look, how am I going to get publicity out of this?
He was the one who was in charge of doing it.
You just followed along blindly.
Yeah.
So all that stuff's real about your husband walking the dog every morning at certain times? That's true, right?
Yes.
And it's true about your husband getting surgery and not being able to go to the gym and work out.
Right.
How did that fit into the acting plan?
It's easier to remember when you put the truth in there. That's how it was written.
Okay. That was written. So where's your copy?
I don't have my copy because I was arrested and I wasn't allowed to go back to my house. And when I did, all my stuff was already packed in garbage bags, and the police was there.
On July 21, 2017, Palm Beach County Circuit Judge Glenn Kelly sentenced the 34-year-old 16 years in prison for solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
My sentence is obviously going to be debated, discussed, critiqued, maybe criticized, I don't know. And so I am going to take a little time, a brief period of time, to explain my reasoning and to explain my sentence. So let me talk then specifically about my reasoning in terms of the sentence I'm going to impose. The goal of sentencing is punishment. It's not rehabilitation. The legislature is clear on that. The goal is punishment. This particular crime was committed not in an unsophisticated way, but in a sophisticated way, in a cold and calculated fashion. There was a plan put in place by Ms. Dippolito to kill Michael Dippolito. The jury so found, and the evidence so supports. And it was done in a very cold, as I said, and premeditated fashion. The evidence at trial, in fact, suggested that perhaps at the time Ms. Dippolito may have been manipulating up to 3 different men, including Mr. Stanley, Mr. Shahada, and obviously Mr. Dippolito, and planning the death of one.
After 3 trials and 2 convictions, 37-year-old Dalia Dippolito is currently being held at the Lowell Correction Facility in Marion County, Florida. Michael Dippolito is free and rebuilding his life with a new partner, but is now being sued for child support by his ex, Karen Tan. His finances are being scrutinized by both a private lawyer in that case, as well as an assistant state attorney who is re-examining his restitution obligations. When asked for a comment on her latest conviction, Dalia's now ex-husband responded with an ominous play on words.
As far as the sentence, I'm 5,000% happy with it.